Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new and improved Take the Black Live, the one and only show on the internet where we dare talk about things like dragons, spaceships, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Marvel, superheroes, such things as this, nerdy stuff, stuff that matters. I am Dan Selcke, the editor-in-chief of winteriscoming.net, here with Mia Johnson, editor-in-chief of dorksideoftheforce.com. And we have quite the show for you. First of all, I have a cool new microphone, and I don't have earphones that look like they're like made 100 years ago and are crushing my head.
Yay, it's nice to see you've got nice new setup, looking cool.
Thank you. But seriously, there is quite a lot to discuss this week, so let's get right into it. I mean, good Lord, we have apparently Warner Brothers is destroying the movie industry with their nefarious plans to release everything all at once. We got a look, like our first real official look at a House of the Dragon Game of Thrones prequel show on HBO, and apparently the entire cast of Marvel is going to be in the new Spider-Man movie. So I'm looking forward to talking about it. Mia, how are you, though, first? The important stuff.
I'm doing good. It's exciting week for news, so I've been ready. I've been waiting to talk about this.
Okay, yeah, let's get into it. Christian, hello. Hello to everybody watching. All right. First up, we got to start with House of the Dragon, HBO's Game of Thrones prequel show. So, on the day that Warner Media HBO execs took to the internet to kind of break the news that they were going to break the movie industry and release everything all at the same time, at the bottom of that post, almost like an afterthought, I think to kind of save face and distract, they mentioned, oh, by the way, here's some concept art for the Game of Thrones prequel show, which is going to start principal photography in a few months. Look out for Dragon ahead. What's funny?
Oh, that's kind of... you know what? I didn't even realize those two had kind of come like a package bundle at the news.
Oh, it was at the bottom of the announcement. They knew what they were doing.
Wow. So do you think that was a good move on their part?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, it reminds me of what they did when they announced that the first Game of Thrones prequel was canceled. They, on that same day, the same hour, announced we picked up this other one to series. They have been quite good about giving something that could be bad news, although we'll talk about whether we think is bad news, and then packaging it with something that's good news. So this time they were like, yes, we're going to release everything to HBO Max, which, frankly, a lot of people would probably think is good news, and then combine it with, here's a look behind the scenes of House of the Dragon. We're starting shooting in a few months. Like, we didn't know that. I mean, I know they've been casting. We had some casting announcements. I can only imagine they're doing stuff behind the scenes, but we didn't know what the timetable was. So a few months, it's really happening, people. They are shooting the Dance of the Dragons, House of the Dragons show, which is great, in a couple of months. And they gave us this pretty sweet concept art of a couple of the dragons involved. First, they got this beautiful doggo here.
Wow.
Red and black, sort of fierce-looking guy. And they didn't name them, but my dorky brain and Reddit is pretty sure we know who they are. So this first guy, I'm pretty sure is Caraxes, I think I'm saying that right, known as the Bloodworm, spelled W-Y-R-M. Just get that down now, so when we write it later, we know. Big dragon, mean dragon, red and black. Yeah, fearsome, very much so. He was ridden by a character we've talked about, Prince... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, Prince Daemon Targaryen. Because remember, we said before, this show is about the Dance of the Dragons. The Targaryen civil war that happened about 100 years and change before the main show. And there's Targaryens fighting Targaryens. They're all riding dragons. They're all like each other in the sky. And this was Daemon's. Good dragon, good history. There's one battle where he fights, I think, his nephew in the sky above the God's Eye Lake, and he like leaps from his dragon to the other guy's dragon and stabs him, and it's just going to be, if they can pull it off, very, very impressive. So that's pretty cool. And also,
I think they'll be able to pull it off.
I don't know, like, that battle I just described is beyond anything they did on Game of Thrones. You realize that, right? Like, they never had...
dueling, like you said, dragon versus dragon.
They had
maybe with the proper budget.
Oh, sure. I mean, they had one of those on Game of Thrones. and it was in the episode where everyone complained you couldn't see anything.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
they're
that's
gonna have, and like I am concerned because like this story is like full of that stuff, and it happens in the broad daylight, so you can't cover it up at night. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with it.
Yeah.
And we also got some concept art of Sunfire the Golden, known as the most beautiful of dragons, with golden scales that gleam in the sun, written by King Aegon Targaryen II, one of the two big claimants to the throne in this particular battle. Remember, we got Aegon Targaryen, and we got his half-sister, Rhaenyra Targaryen, and those two are the two who are mainly at odds in this thing.
Ooh,
Very, very.
I do like this one.
Yeah. I mean, again, like in Game of Thrones, we had like the 3 dragons, we saw them go from like baby to adults, but we're going to come into this show, and there are like, I don't know the exact number, but like more than 10 dragons already just hanging around.
Oh.
And the Targaryens have them, and they're full grown. Like they already know what they're doing, which is something that we never really had back. So it'll be different, and they'll all be different personalities and different looks and different shapes, different sizes, which could be interesting because you know how merchandising is so important to any program. Yeah. And if you go into your show with like 15 to 20 ready-made mascots in the form of different dragons of different colors, shapes, hues, personalities, sizes, temperaments, it's not a bad place to start. It is going to be very tricky to render.
Yeah, well, you can kiss Harry Potter houses goodbye. Now it's, which Targaryen dragon are you?
I mean, yeah, they already are. Which Game of Thrones house are you? And honestly, that if I were in HBO's marketing department, I would be thinking of that, is what I'm saying, of how to leverage that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's exciting stuff. We're finally getting some solid information from actually within HBO itself, not just whispers. And I hope they keep it up. And I hope they don't only release information when they have to deflect from a more controversial story.
Yeah, I can only imagine, like, at the Warner Media Bank, they've got break in case of emergency, and it's just all, Game of Thrones production news.
You're probably right. It's like, we'll announce who's playing this, who's playing Rhaenyra, once we announce that we're firing this person. Okay, distract. And by the way, if anybody out there has any thoughts, what do you think? I mean, this is our first look behind the curtain of House of the Dragon. Pretty exciting stuff. Let us know your thoughts, and we'll respond. Okay, so let's talk about the kind of under the surface thing. The reason we keep talking about deflection is because the House of the Dragon news came alongside an announcement from Warner Brothers that, depending on who you ask, is either going to gut the film industry as we know it or help consumers at a time when going to the theater isn't really that safe. They announced, was it earlier this week or late last week? I forget. That in 2021, Warner Brothers is going to send all of its movies, that's 17 coming out, all 17 of its movies, straight to its HBO Max streaming service and release them in theaters at the same time. With the details, to be fair, I just learned this today, they don't stay in theaters on HBO Max forever. They're like in theaters and then they're on HBO Max for like 31 days and then they get off.
Yeah.
But the point is, under this new system, before a movie was only in theaters and you had to go see it, and then eventually it would come out on video or streaming or whatever. And under this new system, they're saying what I think a lot of folk have feared would happen for a while, like in the industry, that streaming is going to kind of take over theaters. And why put them out in theaters? You can just release them to your streaming service, get subscribers, and clean up that way. And there have been a cavalcade of reactions to this, both kind of measured and there's a good one. Has Warner Brothers finally killed off cinema for good? Asked the South China Morning Post. I think maybe that's a bit overboard, but okay. So when you heard this, what did you think of this new direction? By the way, and these movies, we're talking like Dune is going to be coming out like this, The Suicide Squad will be coming out like this, The Matrix 4 will be coming out like this, and a bunch of others that are like some big name stuff. Like, this is just unusual. At the same
Yeah.
time, kind of inevitable. What do you think about it, Mia?
Yeah, I think my overall reaction was that I was like, you kind of really don't have any other choice at this point. To be sitting on these movies now for months, almost a year, is kind of like, just keeping these in a vault with no one to share them with, no one to see them. They're not making, any money where they could be making money.
Mm,
So I really could not blame them. I'm like, you have to do
sure.
something. It may have been a shock, kind of like jumping into a cold pool, just like head first, but it was like, I think somebody had to do it. Somebody had to kind of say, okay, we need to push the system forward. And, Warner Brothers, I'll say they were pretty brave to do that. Some, caveats here and there with how it all worked out, but I think it's kind of the eventual landing spot anyway for this.
The more I think about it, the less of a big deal it seems like, frankly. Like when
Hmm.
it first came out, everyone was freaking out, like already famously, Christopher Nolan, the director of The
Hmm.
Dark Knight and Tenet and Interstellar and Inception, was the biggest whinger of the group. And he kind of had this quote going around. Some of our industries, he's British, right? Okay.
He should be, yeah.
Some of our industry's biggest filmmakers, most important movie stars, went to bed the night before thinking they were working for the greatest movie studio and woke up to find out they were working for the worst streaming service, which is like shots fired HBO Max from a very powerful
Yeah.
director.
Pow, pow.
Warner Bros. Had an incredible machine for getting a filmmaker's work out everywhere, both in theaters and in home, and they are dismantling it as we speak. They don't even understand what they're losing. Basically, he's kind of leading the vanguard, people who hate this idea, which is
Yeah.
mostly directors. I've heard that Denis Villeneuve is upset that his Dune isn't going to be, you have to see it on the big screen. James Gunn was apparently a little miffed that the Suicide Squad is going to be coming to people right at home instead of on the big screen only. And a lot of other folk who are, like, again, angry that, I mean, like, what is he angry about? Like,
Yeah, to me, it's
the,
a hot-headed reaction,
mhm.
because it is. I do get it. It's like, hey, wait a minute. We've always been doing this for decades in this industry, and now you're gonna go and change it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do feel where he's coming from, just as a kind of like gut reaction sort of move. To me, maybe not incredibly fair to lash out without talking it through, if you know what I mean, or thinking it through even.
Well, at the same time, I think a lot of them were upset, apparently, because unless you're Gal Gadot, by the way, is that Gal Gadot or Gal Gadot? I still don't
It's like a
know.
soft T sound, like Gal Gadot.
Oh, come on,
I have to
man.
like
Okay, fine.
ASMR the T.
Anyway, unless you're Gal Gadot or Patty Jenkins, they did not tell anyone they were doing this.
Yeah.
Like they called them up like 90 minutes before and were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, by the way, all your films are going to be out in HBO Max and theaters. Bye." Click, and then they just kind of put it out. And folks were a little cheesed off about that. They weren't being consulted. But at the end of the day, okay, the
Yeah. There's
kind
a
of
lot.
argument, the hard argument to make is, are you really going to say that, they should be only in theaters? It's ridiculous when putting them out only in theaters. I mean, we've all heard the news over the past year, exposes you to COVID, might get you sick, might make you dead. Like there was one great tweet that was Christopher Nolan, I would rather you literally die than watch my movie on TV. It's
Oh
funny.
no. Yeah, this is like Martin Scorsese, but with a vengeance. It's like at least he didn't have to, like the Netflix stuff. He didn't have to deal with the pandemic. He was just like, I wish cinema could be cinema, and you go to see it at the theater. It's like now times are
I mean,
different, so
Martin
you have to put
Scorsese,
that into what?
made his Netflix movie, The Irishman. It's a
Yeah,
Netflix movie he made. So like he complained and then got on board.
yeah. Yeah, so it's like considering the circumstances, I think you do have to be, overall considerate that like, pretty much everyone's industry has changed, so why should yours be any different? And I mean, the plain fact is he was the first person to really have a movie come out in the really like in the midst of this pandemic. So it's like
Yeah.
you saw what the numbers were like. They were miserable. There was like nothing else in theaters to I mean,
They weren't
considering
like
considering it
miserable.
had come out like last year, if there's nothing to worry about, it's a summer blockbusters in swing. And I think the fact of it is that if like Wonder Woman were to solely be released in theaters this year, you would still kind of have that same, low-balled, nobody really wants to go out to the movie theater expectations like that.
Sure,
So yeah,
certainly on Christmas when coming out, like
yeah.
it's not going to be over by then.
Yeah,
The
so to me, it's
pandemic.
really like you have to kind of accept that these are the circumstances in this moment of time, and then as time goes on, now that they've done it and they've like broken the seal, I don't know if Warner Brothers will ever just want to stick to the theater only release. They're like, oh, it's just a year, only. So yeah, that does kind of break the seal. But then again, it was like, well, was this inevitable anyway? And did this just kind of speed up the process?
I mean, yes, it was, wasn't it? I mean, I think a lot of folk, have been saying that since the beginning. We were all
Yeah.
going towards this, but this is just going to speed it along. The pandemic, I mean, like not this move. Like this was something, someone was going to do it. And I mean, as a person sitting at home, it's better for us, isn't it? I mean, I want to point out, like, part of the weirdness is these movies are still coming out in theaters. It's not like you can't go see them. Like
Yeah.
when Dune
Yeah.
comes out, assuming the pandemic is under control, which by October, let's cross our fingers, um, I will fully see it in the theater. That's my plan. It might also be nice to go home later and like, oh, that scene was awesome, and rewatch it on HBO
Oh, I
Max.
never thought about that. Wow, that'd be really awesome. Yeah, to like see
Yeah,
something and then be like, oh, I want to immediately see that again instead of like having to, unfortunately, well, maybe not unfortunately, pay your money, pay your ticket again, go
mm.
back and sit through a whole 2-hour movie just for like this one little scene or snippet that you want to see.
Or I mean, honestly, the argument that folk have made about like pirating video games. Like, what if you wouldn't have gone and seen this movie at theaters, but you will if it's right at your fingertips? You'll get more eyeballs on it, and maybe some folk who watch it at home will even be convinced that they like it so much. Like, I want to see that on a big screen. I
Yeah,
can see that happening too.
yeah,
I mean, I do think it's a little suspicious that, like, again, like you said, like Warner Brothers said it's going to be a year. I don't think it'll be a year. I mean, the into the future and stuff. Like Dune's coming out in October. Like, I don't think anybody thinks we won't have the coronavirus under. I mean, again, cross your fingers, but like
yeah.
control by then. The
Right.
vaccine's being distributed like today, I think, in the UK or yesterday. It looks like it's only a matter of time before we're out of this hellscape. And yet they're committing to doing this like well into next year, all of next year.
Yeah.
Um, I think they do want to drive subscribers to HBO Max, but also I'm just not that mad about it, I guess, because it means I'll have more options to watch movies.
Yeah.
And, for a while, it will protect people who don't want to go out to a movie theater and expose themselves to the virus. And
Yeah.
it seems like a lot of the whinging from Nolan and others, I mean, is their butt hurt they weren't told. And I mean, it is scary, like when you
Yeah.
are kind of undergoing a change in your industry. And the New York Times article all about it was talk about kind of how the revenue streams are going to be altered,
Hmm.
where a lot of stars and directors get like back end payments depending on how well the movie does. And if she was a part of it, those payments won't be as big, and then the agents won't get paid as much. And they put it like, so there'll be fewer Ferraris and thousand per
Yeah.
person fancy dinners. And I mean, like, if that's what we lose, like, sign me
Like,
up.
oh, New York
That'd be great.
Times.
No one needs
Yeah.
that crap.
Yeah, I love that line.
Yeah, that was good.
It kind of reminds me of, not to get too off topic, about the whole Cardi B debacle. Should I buy like an $80,000 purse? Did you see that? It was like a whole big thing on Twitter. People are mad at her. They're like, we're in a pandemic. People have lost their jobs, and you're talking about getting an $80,000 purse. So, oh, can Dan?
Something wrong with my audio.
Oh no.
And I
Let's see. Dan is figuring out. He's got these new Bluetooth
oh
headphones.
boy,
Can you hear me?
do something. Why don't you talk a little more about this topic while I try to figure this out?
Yeah, so I will ramble on in the background until Dan figures out um, his audio. It's like we can hear him. We love to hear Dan, but his batteries aren't working. But anyway, yeah, so I will ramble on and kind of say, as far as this whole Warner Brothers thing, you know, it to me, comparatively, it is like, you know, there have been so many people affected by this pandemic who aren't in Hollywood. People have lost their jobs, you know, businesses have shut down, restaurants have had to shut down. So I'm like, it's kind of not fair, you know, Hollywood, you're out here and then complaining that, oh no, my movie isn't going to make as many millions as we would like it to. Yeah, it kind of, this whole year has sucked for everyone. And so that's how it has happened. Let's check in on Dan.
So insightful, so wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. You missed a very touching, moving conclusion to this.
Yeah, that
story.
I'll be crying about that later. I can't wait to watch it back and see what you said. Okay, weird. Sorry about that, everybody, but I think we're back online. Mia, can you say something again?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
We're all good. Yay.
All right. Any other thoughts on this before we move on?
No, I mean, you missed such a moving closing argument that I couldn't possibly say anything more. Oh no, there he goes again.
No. Okay. So let's move on to the next thing. Sorry about everyone. It's the headphones. We got them working and messing everything up.
All right. Now I can hear myself. I don't know if that echo is going on. Now I can't hear myself. Now I can't hear Dan.
You can't hear me?
Now I can hear you. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Oh, we have to take turns. It's like a presidential debate.
I mean, like the platonic ideal of a presidential debate. Anyway, Spider-Man. Are we on the same page? Great.
Yes.
Another big bit of news. Christian seems to be really enjoying that. I was keeping my mouth shut this week for tech problems. It was going so well, Christian. We had everything set up. Ugh. We switched stuff. Anyway. Okay. We want to talk about Spider-Man. Spider-Man, they have announced, well, I guess it's been reported, confirmed basically, going around the world, that Spider-Man 3, the upcoming film with Tom Holland as Peter Parker, subtitle forthcoming, is going to be a celebration of the franchise's past. There are a ton of actors from past Spider-Man franchises that are going to be in this thing. We already knew about Jamie Foxx as Electro from the Andrew Garfield days, and that was weird. And then I think it was confirmed that Alfred Molina is going to appear as Dr. Octopus from like the 2004 Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. Mm-hmm. That they're getting Andrew Garfield himself to show up. They're getting Kirsten Dunst from the old Spider-Man movies, Tobey Maguire, to show up. They're trying to get Tobey Maguire, obviously. They're trying to get Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy. Apparently, Charlie Cox is in it as Daredevil from the Netflix Marvel shows. So this, I mean, on one level, this confirms what we've always thought about it, that it's going to be some kind of multiple universe plot line where Doctor Strange, who's going to be in it as well, will take Tom Holland through the looking glass and dance through the veil of multiple worlds and have a good time. But there was always a part of me that thought that was like too far-fetched. And now to see that they're just going to bring all these old Spider-Man movie characters into this one movie, it's pretty ambitious.
Yeah.
And it's pretty exciting. What do you think about it, Mia?
Yeah. You know, this might be the one time where I feel like I am carrying a little bit of skepticism, and not just like about the rumors, but I've always just been kind of feeling like the whole we're going to bring this character back is at some point going to reach a bubble where it feels gimmicky. And I don't know where I've kind of read this before, and I'll explain further if you need it, where it's kind of like studios now just really, really want to make that $1 billion movie like anything else, and you can go kick rocks. So I'm like, is this just kind of like they're trying to find the magic formula to be like, okay, how can we, what are the ingredients for a perfect movie in 2020? Okay, well, we have to go hard on the nostalgia. We have to bring every single person back. And it's just made me wonder, like, are we ever going to reach a peak where it's kind of like, oh yeah, we're such and such is coming back, and whoop-de-doo, this has been done so many times over. But as a Spider-Man fan, I should still in my heart feel a little bit happy. I do love Tobey Maguire. That's like straight up nostalgia for me. It's like I guess it's kind of working in a way. But yeah, I carry like this, one side I like it and one side I'm like, okay, how far are we going to take this sort of thing?
I gotta say, I am quite surprised with that response. I'm all over this. I mean, usually I'm the one who's cynical about
I know.
maneuvering and stuff, and I think this is pretty cool. I mean, but
Yeah.
the reason I think it's pretty cool is because, I mean, there seems to be so much precedent for it. Like, everyone loved Into the Spider-Verse, and that was just basically this, but without people we already knew. And it feels like that's going to be kind of the theme of the movie. Like, I'm sure that some of them will have roles to play. I'm betting a lot will be cameos. Like, there's no way all these people are going to be, like, a big part of the cast. Like, I'd be totally cool for a movie to do a fun multiverse adventure. And, I mean, really, it's, like, this kind of nostalgia service is very, very rare. I mean, this is the old Sony Spider-Man movies being integrated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, that is a feat so unprecedented that it goes right past my cynicism blockers, and I kind of am into it because it's something new. I mean, like, what other things are you thinking of when you say like bringing old characters back is kind of in vogue right now?
It is. Or you're saying like right now? Well, you've got DC is with their Michael Keaton and stuff like that. But yeah, this is a time where it's like we've never had the chance to necessarily do this before because we've never been in this model of bringing people back, or it's kind of just like once you do it, you move on. So even like if there's like Doctor Who, where we've got the 11th Doctor, and then the next year people are like, oh, but they missed the 10th Doctor, so let's put them in a special together, something like that. So there have been, things, reboots of that nature that we've been seeing a lot. But yeah, I don't want to say I'm too cynical of this because the better part of me wants to be like, this is really, really awesome because I have for a while been like, wow, what if we get all three Spider-Men together? The idea of bringing the villains back never came to me. So I'm like, that's pretty clever. Okay, I'll give it to them. Doc Ock, and I didn't really care for Jamie Foxx as Electro in the second Spider-Man, but I think they have the potential to make it way, way, way better now. So, and then the Charlie Cox too, the whole Daredevil thing. I was like, whoa, where are we going with this?
That one was the really surprising one. Christian said earlier. Daredevil, awesome. Which, yeah, that one was nuts. And by the way, hi Jen, good to see you.
Hey.
I mean, the word is, and this kind of still transpiring and could change, but the word is that he'll be Tom Holland, Peter Parker's lawyer. So I actually don't think he's from another universe. I think he is the Daredevil character from the Netflix show, just because the MCU, right?
Yeah, it was technically in the MCU.
In those shows, they made reference to the first Avengers movie and like the whole New York stuff. So he just exists, and they're just bringing him in. But it was surprising because that show has been in like rights limbo for a while now. But I think the rights reverted, and I expected Kevin Feige to use Daredevil again at some point. And it's been this soon. That was kind of surprising. Yeah. But I say cool. Again, I sort of doubt it's going to be like, there's no way all of these people can like be an important part. But like if Cox comes on just like for like one scene to help Parker in like a deposition and don't even mention he's Daredevil, that'd be really, really fun. And then you can go stuff. I mean, again, like, Kevin Feige hasn't struck out yet, and this is a pretty new kind of move. I think it's pretty exciting, and I'm sorry it can't penetrate your shriveled trunken heart.
No, I do. It is like, to me, still something. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, whoa, this has the potential to be something really, really, something unlike you've ever seen before. Almost, to me, it might give me the feeling of Infinity War, because it pulled together all of these heroes who have never been on screen before. But this is different because these are the same heroes who share technically different timelines in a way, and have, in no way should be connected to one another. But now we have that opportunity. So yeah, it's like, taking all your toys and playing with them. You've got 2 Spider-Mans and, 2 different Batmans. And at least with my brother, when I would see him play toys and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm not feeling that cold towards it. What's that?
Spider-Man is going to be the plural of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Or like for people, if there's a Spider-Woman in there, we'll see. And yes, Christian, it's most definitely sets up the next Doctor Strange movie. I'm sure of it. We'll see the specifics when it comes out. Probably 22, I want to say. All right. Any other thoughts on that before we move on from you or anything else in the audience? Okay. Finally, let's quickly go over the latest Mandalorian episode, The Tragedy, which happened last Friday. Moff Gideon took Baby Yoda, and I'm not cool with it.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, we've only got, after this, 2 more episodes to go. And for some reason, in my mind, I was expecting maybe this episode would be kind of like another filler, like nothing. They were just going to have a tiny adventure, but nothing was really going to happen. But then they were like, hey, what if we brought back Boba Fett? And I was like, oh, okay.
And have the villain get the baby everybody likes.
Yeah. And they actually went to the planet that they were supposed to go to in one it didn't take them 2 episodes to get there. So I was very, very impressed with this episode. I guess I've always been impressed with all of the episodes, but this one had a lot of awesome, cool reveals. And I was like, yeah, I'm into this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was good from the drama point of view. I kind of wish the show would, talk about bringing back old characters, kind of stoke nostalgia and fan service. Is there any Star Wars character that kind of lived in the imagination bigger than he was on the screen than Boba Fett, who is this kind of like a couple of scenes in the original movies, but just he had this second life among fans that like they never let him go. Thought he was so cool, so badass. They want the helmet, they want the jetpack, and finally he's come back to please them. And I liked the performance. I enjoyed all the action scenes. Christian was skeptical, but loved it. I liked that he wasn't a monster. Like, he made a deal. He revived that lady with robotic cybernetic implants.
Yeah, Finnick, yeah.
Or something. I don't know about that. But he came off as a character, which I liked. The show goes very fast a lot of the time. Like, that's like its charm, and also sometimes to me, it's starting to wear me a little bit. How it's not really a show that pauses for the characters to like reflect on themselves, Like, we're getting from point A to point B to point C, and we're not really stopping, even though there is some filler stuff. But the filler stuff is just always kind of, and there's always action scenes every single time.
Yeah.
Want like just a talkie episode, and I'm not sure I'm going to get it. But yeah, pop momentum, good action scenes, Boba Fett being back, can't go wrong. Oh, and Baby Yoda, like smacking around stormtroopers was a good time. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yeah, he was taking care of business.
Christian, you're right. It is the same actor, Tamura Morrison, who played Jango Fett.
Yeah, that's him reprising the role. And in one regard, it was kind of weird at first to see Boba Fett actually have a personality. He was never like my favorite character, just because I think it's more of like a product of growing up with the original movies, kind of like my dad loved Boba Fett, just because it was like that. He's got the mysterious Mandalorian helmet, and like, who is this guy? What does he do? Yeah. So it's like you could kind of just project your own ideals onto him, because he was just this blank canvas of cool. So then when they finally, Tamora Morrison worked on creating this character, he worked with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and learned about the Clone Wars and all that too, to be like, okay, now what would happen if he actually had a personality and, and all this stuff happened to him. And it was a little shocking at first because like, oh, he speaks and he fights without a gun and all these things. But yeah, it was something that grew on me as well.
I want whatever the hell staff he had.
Yeah.
And like he was pulling guns out of folks' hands and smashing them. Like, okay, this show loves killing stormtroopers so much. In that one episode, like they were smashing them against walls and like firing cannons point blank at them. In this one, Boba Fett is smashed with a stick and like their armor is splintering off their face and flying all over the place. It's really on the cutting edge of murdering the hell out of stormtroopers. This show, it was a lot to do it.
This one was quite brutal, and I was just reading up, and Tamora Morrison spoke to New York Times, and he spoke to Star Wars blog as well, but kind of made the same points about his character and talking about his culture. He's from the Maori culture from New Zealand. I looked it up because I was like, I think Taika Waititi is from that culture as well. And they really are proud of that culture and to display it. And so he is kind of trained on, some of the warrior things that come from that culture, such as the haka. We've seen that before, or I've seen it before at least. And also part of that comes with this. On Star Wars, they call it stick fighting. So I don't know if there's a better way. There is a name for it that he said, but it is, the practice of almost like swordsmanship, right? Using your stick and your staff and really. And so, yeah, I was like, wow, he is not playing around with these stormtroopers. I feel sorry for them.
Yeah, I do feel myself like a little wanting for a little more depth, but I mean, this moves the plot forward. It's exciting, and it's for a good end.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
Mia?
This one was the shortest one as well. So, yeah, to me it was kind of weird. It did the stormtrooper scene did to me go on a little bit too long. It felt like I was watching like Star Wars Battlefront. And so I was like, yeah, maybe that time could have been filled in with a little more like, hey, Boba Fett reflecting on, like him and Mando talking about being foundlings, not really from the planet of Mandalore. There's a lot that you could have done, but I don't really see the show doing that either. I don't know.
Yeah, me neither. It's just not its style. To me, the best episodes so far are still the first one with Cobb Vanth and the Ahsoka one are my top two. Now, Mia, I got a little gift this week from the good people at HBO and BBC. It's a His Dark Materials gift box.
Whoa.
Oh. They sent me some candies. They sent me a telescope that I can put together because the whole show is about like discovery.
Wow.
When I put it together, look at the stars, I can do it under a blanket.
Ooh, I'll keep you nice and cozy this winter.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much to the good people at HBO BBC. His Dark Materials sending me these His Dark Materials telescope, candies, blanket, accoutrement. That show is still going on. His Dark Materials, it's around the corner on its second season. And because I got a gift from them, I will say that it is fine plus. Oh.
All right.
For that. Sandperson staff, Christian. Apparently everyone already knew that. I did not. I had to be told that by someone who was a bigger Star Wars fan than I did. But maybe I'll look into that. For this show is great at suggesting new Halloween costume ideas for people everywhere with the masks and the staffs and stuff.
Very true.
Anything else, Mia, that you're watching and want to talk about?
No, I finally started watching Dash and Lily on Netflix. It's so cute. It's like a holiday little based off of a book, I guess. It is like so me. I was like, oh, this is really me, even though it's like one of that young adult type stuff.
Right.
That's really cute. I'm just kind of taking my time watching that this week. Anything else on your watch list?
Oh, I started to watch The Stand. I got some of the screeners for that. I'm not going to say anything because I can't spoil it by law or by edict, as CBS Health says. But I'm enjoying it, and hopefully,
Cool.
I think we can talk more about that next week.
Cool. Yeah.
Start early next week. So The Expanse is coming. Quite a lot of good TV coming up over the holiday season. And if you want to hear our thoughts on those and other programs, books, movies, what have you, we are available to listen to in podcast form. Take the Black Live or Take the Black, available wherever podcasts are sold, iTunes, Google Plays, or just available, rather, not necessarily sold, although if you want to give us money, sure. And we'll be back next week to talk about more of this stuff, more dragons, lasers, books, TV, movies, here on the Winners Coming Facebook page at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on Wednesdays. Thanks for watching, everybody, and goodbye.
Bye.